The following segment is sponsored by Smith Injury Law and 300hurt.com.
Anybody who is employed could find themselves in a situation where they're hurt on the job, but there's still a stigma surrounding workers' comp. Richard Smith from Smith Injury Law is here to talk about that with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Margaret.
First, let's start with people's perception of workers' comp. The injured worker is not suing their employer. This is a different situation, this claim.
That's correct. It's a workers' compensation claim against the workers' comp insurance carrier. A lot of times, I've had cases before where the employees have brought me the client and said they're not taking care of my worker. Can you help them? So it's not necessarily anti-employer. If you're legitimately injured on the job, you must report the claim to get help.
Okay, well then explain to us, how is a claimant compensated? Where does that come from?
Well, first of all, you get your medical bills taken care of by the employer. If you miss enough time out of work, you get weekly checks while you're out of work. And if you have a permanent injury or a permanent scar, that's where we get involved and get you a settlement, or go to a hearing and have a commissioner decide what kind of award that you receive. So if you don't have a permanent injury, there's no compensation other than your medical bills and your lost wages while you're out of work.
Well, and so much can be going on. So much is happening when somebody's injured on the job. So it's easy to misstep and hurt your ability to be compensated. What are the mistakes people make?
The biggest mistake is failure to notify the employer of your injury, not reporting the injury. The second biggest mistake is giving a recorded statement and not realizing what the legal issues are in your case and possibly destroying your case before they ever call me. So the first thing you do is report the injury, and then if you have an injury that's more severe than just a simple strain, call an attorney.
Yep. So the first thing to keep in mind, obviously report that. What are the next steps or anything else that people need to kind of keep in mind on their checklist if they've been hurt?
First of all, you cannot assume that the doctor they send you to is going to say that you've got a permanent injury. A lot of times the doctors that they use are very conservative. We've had doctors before who've done surgery, put hardware in people, and said they had no permanent injury. Obviously, if they've got a hardware situation in their body, they've got a permanent injury. So you cannot assume that you're going to be treated fairly, because the workers' comp adjuster does not work for you. We do.
So you keep that in mind. And people think that they can't afford to hire an attorney to navigate all this for them, but they can. How is that compensation happening?
Because we charge a percentage of the settlement, not an hourly rate. And that allows anybody, regardless of their income level, to hire a strong, competent attorney. Without that type of contract, it would be very difficult for people to ever get attorneys, because, you know, the defense attorney charges $400 or $500 an hour sometimes, and you can't afford to pay that. So don't worry about that. We don't charge you. The fee that we charge comes out of your settlement that we obtain for you. Yeah,
important to remember. Well, at your practice at Smith Injury Law, you deal with personal injury, workers' compensation, car and truck collisions, and Social Security disability claims. And people will love working with you. They can call you 300HURT, or they can visit 300hurt.com. We appreciate the conversation. Richard Smith, Smith Injury Law. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.